Hey, everybody, it's Kat Carasello. I wanted to come and connect around a topic that I think we're all feeling a lot, which is navigating life in an unexpected environment. And these are troubling times. Everybody is impacted by things that are both local and communal, personal, and global. And whatever it is that's impacting you, those circumstances, that situation, or the emotions that are activated can be very, very complicated. I have clients that are speaking to me about just underlying anxiety and just feeling so much of what's happening, navigating life and knowing what to do with these external energies and feeling so much about wanting things to be different and wanting to participate and make a difference. So, when we're in an unexpected, emotional, or highly charged experience, and it can be an ongoing circumstance that feels like a very particular, maybe uncomfortable landscape that requires something more of you than you know how to maybe achieve or how to travel through that particular atmosphere. That can leave you feeling just self protective and wanting to numb out and withdrawing. This is one of the common ways that we self-protect is we withdraw and disassociate and kind of create a buffer zone. And there's actually nothing wrong with that because being human can be really, really hard. And so, how and where we recognize that we're buffering can actually be a clue to n- determining more of what we need and where we are in life. And one of the things as highly creative individuals we can do is identify the alien landscape, the unexpected landscape of life, the emotional landscape, perhaps, or the inner landscape. And we can identify that based on clues of how we feel and also taking ourselves to some source of imagery or energy, including our fingers, to actually create on the page what we're feeling and what we're sensing. But the first sensory message that I want you to explore is the feeling state inside your body. And I want you to close your eyes and ask your body to bring you through a doorway into the place where you feel clarity and can articulate what you sense you're working with. And many of us will say, I'm feeling trapped, I'm feeling stuck, I'm feeling confused. So, any of that language that is both sensory, embodied, or emotional can actually help us to identify where we are. Even if you feel chaos, even if you feel fear, that is a beginning place. So, take yourself into the inner landscape and knock on the door of emotion and be willing to open up some space to explore the story of where you are and what you feel. Even allowing for a prompt to guide you into that feeling state and be able to speak to it. It feels sticky. It feels complex, it feels dense, it feels green. Any of these word clues, any of this articulated language is going to open up some space for you to identify where you are. We want to create better access to understand ourselves. So, by creating a landscape or an environment of this complicated place that you might feel in a moment, or some of you might feel for a month, none of us really want to feel an extended complexity that isn't articulated or identified. I feel lost, I feel confused, I feel strange, I feel um, separated from myself, I feel distressed. None of us want to spend extended time in an alien environment, but we do all of the time because being human is hard. In times like these, when we're being bombarded with news, with anxiety, when we're being fed a lot of information that can feel complicated to, understand, or even complicated to make sense of where it fits, what's true, what's not true, we can only turn back to ourselves. This is where we rise our light, where we live our lives inside ourselves. And by exposing a shadow story, by exposing an environment that's not receptive to being alive in our life, to having choices, to speaking up, to rearranging, where and how we ground and center, even in troubling times, it will help you to identify the space where you're being tested or challenged. And I chose this image behind me on purpose. It's an environment that's not frightening, but it feels a little bit complex. And yet those streams of light are shining in to illuminate and offer me a way to move through these tangled roots. These are roots that are above ground. These are roots that are submerged in water, but they are um, energies that are tree-like rooted energies. And this is a particular place that may be complicated to navigate, but it has its own beauty, its own spaciousness. But I need to know it in order to be able to navigate it. This is the kind of image that can really speak volumes to me of where I might be in my journey. If, there's a darker side of this image and a lighter side, which is the perfect analogy for recognizing that there can be a range of experiences in the same place. If I felt myself sort of stuck over in that dark side with less light and more tangled roots, I might get trapped. I might be moving through and get trapped. And who is the part of self that can navigate this kind of environment? Is it the seal? Is it the selkie? Is it the mirror self? Is it the self who has the fluid energies and the ability to shapeshift? Maybe that kind of language helps me to know that the mythic self, the self who has superpowers and abilities, can actually come to guide me, come to help me. If I feel strangled, or if I feel stuck over in that dark side of this environment, if I feel trapped, that's going to, cause me more struggle, more fear, more anxiety. But if I'm shedding light on my environment, if I'm loosening up, if I'm allowing myself more room to see and feel and explore my stories by opening up channels of communication with myself in this kind of way, through the images, through the energies, I'm starting to seek and see and discover something that's available to me that serves my wholeness, that serves what I'm afraid of or what is causing me concern. The more I can illuminate the challenge, the more I can find myself in the journey. And this is the invitation today, to find your light inside of life, even when it's hard, even when you're struggling, even when you're blown out or knocked off your center. There are all kinds of things that can challenge us, and I've experienced those things too. The current socio-political landscape is very, very troubling to many of us, and yet the thing that I feel most is I don't want to lose my light. I don't want to lose myself. I need to be able to survive whatever happens so that I can shine, so that I can be whole and I can live through whatever the next chapter is. I know what I want to see happen, but there are a lot of complexities and a lot of challenges no matter where you land. Choices aren't the best, and there are fears enough to go around. So the thing that I'm looking for is my own stability, my own source of resiliency, and not hiding, but being able to navigate the circumstances, being able to be, literally be in my journey, whatever that is. Maybe there's something really hard happening in your life. Maybe you're caregiving for an ill family member. Maybe you're in that sandwich generation where you're finding yourself, caregiving others that are older than you and caregiving youngers that are, coming up, but adults, and feeling yourself having to sort of put put yourself into that leadership position in ways that you didn't imagine. Maybe you're navigating and working with illness, your own illness or illness in the family. Maybe there's some hardship happening financially. There can be lots of things happening in the family, in your own life, in your own awareness, transition times that knock you off center. And is there a feeling state that could lead you to a landscape of light that could illuminate where you are and how you feel, giving yourself even more to work with? You can take an idea like this to paint. You can take an idea like this to drawing with a Sharpie, or just sketching, or unpacking a sense of, where am I? I feel like I'm being, sucked into a conduit and I have no ability to right myself. I feel like I'm being flooded all of the time and the energy is just overwhelming. So work with the flood, work with the tidal wave, work with whatever it is that you can recognize might be the living landscape that is a constant or active, by giving yourself more opportunity to see what's there, using collage, using paint, using, mark making materials, anything that can just give you a sense of extracting more of the intuitive. You want to take it to the intuitive rather than just worrying in your mind's eye or feeling so much emotion that it's sort of altering your adrenal wellness. It's altering your sense of embodied wellness because you're constantly in an emergency state. Take that and put it down. If you're wanting to work with me, connect with me, explore this state change, explore the journey, explore using the language of creativity, you can set up a time to meet with me below. I have open channels right now because I'm offering an opportunity for the Creative Depth program, which is opening in September. But I really want to offer some connection for anyone who's feeling the need. Just because I serve as a depth coach, I do this work all of the time. I believe in this creative ability to discover and utilize our own depths, our own abilities, our own, to discover our own um, ability to feel and heal and be serving whatever the journey is bringing. So be aware that this is available to you, and also take this suggestion right into art making today and see what comes through. I know that when I chose this image, it was so meaningful to me, and it brought me some source that I needed to see. I needed to see that I was able to move through the light side of life, that I was able to extract that source material, but that there is a complicated nature to this particular landscape, and there are some hidden places that can be complicated and confusing and challenging and maybe even feel dangerous. I need that information just to live, just to move through the day to day phases of life. This is a mythic landscape. This is the work. This is part of how we want to play with the potential of creative depth. Depth and discovery is how we dive deeper into our own lives, our own wisdom, our own abilities to be resourced. And being resourced in complicated times like these and troubling times where things are very distressing and disturbing, maybe you need more. So stay tuned. Know that I come with sort of a whole heart offering this just to serve you today. And I hope that this conversation adds to your light.